All right, cool. So here is a little lesson on mixing major and minor pentatonic together to kind of give blues a little bit more of a spice to it. So it's kind of cool. So it's like if we have, like a regular C blues, which is, major CFG. So it's kind of cool is if you run through the C major scale, so we got our normal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, or C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? So what's kind of cool is if we kind of stick in this little area from this first position. So we got seven notes, in the scale, right? So when we play a pentatonic scale, it's just taking 5 of the notes, right? So for example, if we do a C major pentatonic, which comes out of this position, so, that's the 4th position before rock and roll, right? So the notes that we'd be playing is 1st degree, C, D, which would be 2nd, the 3rd, which is E, then 5th, and then the 6th is A, and then back to C, right? So that's 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back to 1, right? So, which is kind of cool here is you can superimpose, so that's what I'm going to call it, superimpose major pentatonic and minor pentatonic over the C chord, which is really cool. So you can go, right? And then you can also do major. Give more of a spice, right? So the cool thing is what you're doing here when you want to mix major and minor, right? You can, the notes you would be adding to make it minor now is the E flat, the 4th degree is F, and then the 5th degree, or the 7th degree, sorry, flat 7, which is your B flat. So technically what we're doing is we're mixing almost all the notes together, but except for the B flat is, the flat 7 instead of the B, and then the F is just, added in there. And then the E flat, instead of playing E, right, we're just lowering that a half step. So what's kind of cool is when you have a C major chord, C, E, G, you can impose superimpose that as a chromatic rundown to kind of add a little bit more of a tension spice, because in major we have supposed to have that major 3rd. So when if you have that 3rd in there, major 3rd, adds really like an ugly dissonance. Kind of sounds like a siren, right? Really hurts the ear. So anyways, what's really gravy about this is that you can superimpose all this together. And then, so when you got the minor pentatonic now, right? So we got 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. So as you can see here, that G is is a part of that minor pentatonic, right? So, which is like really cool. So then you got the flat 3 here, which is really cool, is because when you want to make it major, you can go to the rock and roll position. See, there's that E flat there, or yeah, E flat, and then back to 2, right? So you can kind of really mix in there just by a shift of one note. It's kind of the thing about, you're usually a half step below or half step above, right? So the cool thing is when you go to that F major chord, right? Right? So the cool part is when you go to the F chord, so in that minor pentatonic, that's F, that F is in there. And then that A is the major third of F. So then you can use your major pentatonic and then add a mixture of that. So, which is really cool. And then when you have that G, that D is in that, it's the second of the major pentatonic. And then that B is in the major, part of the major pentatonic, which is actually, it's add more of a spice to it. So, which is kind of cool, is you can add a mixture between, the half steps, and has that little bit of a clash, right? And then you also have what's called common tones. So like, so this G here is part of the major pentatonic as well as the minor. So it's really cool. It kind of adds a way to get to the different chord tones and using, a lot of common tones as well. So it's like if I'm, so there, what I did there, I went to that 5, to that G, or the F, to the 1, flat 7, to the 6 to kind of add that little kind of major sound. So it's really cool that you can impose all this to use it as like a voice leading thing. So it's like if I go to my G, so here I hit that A, which would be the 6th of the major pentatonic, and then you got your C, and then here if I wanted to make it C minor, so now I mixed. So when you're using the C minor pentatonic, it's really cool to add more of a spice by going from that flat 3 to 1. It kind of adds more of a jazzy spice to it. And then going from E, so 3rd, 4th, flat 5, you can lead into that G, or into the 5th. So what's really cool is you can kind of use It's just super cool. And then you can just do that anywhere. So like, you know, here you have your, so you got your major blues. So just think your major blues is just starting, you know, like your A minor pentatonic shape, which would start at your finger, pointer finger at the 5th fret. So rule of thumb, the rock and roll position, pointer finger is minor, pinky is major. So you got C, D, E flat. There's how you can make it minor. E would be major. Then the G is in there as, you know, common tone. And then you got your A, which would be your 6. Then C, right? And so the really cool part here is you can put that anywhere. So this would be part of the second position of major. So going from that E flat, D, and then what's really cool so you can go through that position and make it minor. Is you got your rock and roll position to C minor. Major, second position of the A minor pentatonic. So which is really cool here is there's the whole C minor scale. C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, and then, you know, so on and so forth. Yep. D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat, right? Now if I was to make that major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So what's kind of cool is you can mix your major and minor scales together. So then there's your C minor. Then your C major. Give it a shot.